And welcome to the Illini Guys halftime show. Mike Kegley, Kedrick Prince here talking about Illinois in their 36-29 halftime advantage over Oakland. Ked, anything jump out to you this first half?
They came out, they looked really aggressive, Mike, when they first came out, but now they kind of look like they're going through the motions again. And Kasparis is kind of sloppy with the basketball, which I think in terms, the team kind of, they feed off him. When he's playing really, really well and, taking care of the basketball, they look good. But right now, I don't like the way the last 10 minutes of the game went. Oakland they became really, really aggressive. And with their aggressive play, they kind of got into the Illini on offense, and they're struggling a little bit.
Yeah, I actually thought the other thing, I guess, that when I looked at it was I was happy to see Boswell hit that three. An open three was good, and then he followed it up with a nice rebound that allowed Trey White, allowed another possession. It was offensive rebound. It allowed Trey White to then get a three and knock it down. So there were little things I thought that were really nice as we were watching the half in terms of trying to help guys. Now he's still 1 for 5 from the three, so you'd like to see that get a little better. But again, maybe he gets a little confidence now.
Yeah, he does. I mean, there's no denying the fact, Mike, that he's struggling a little bit, and they need him to score. And the same can be said about Ben Humrickhouse. Not that he's playing bad, but we both know both of those guys are capable of putting the ball in the basket. And right now, these are the type of games where you want them, if they are struggling, you want them to shoot their way out of the slump and make sure that, because next week, it's going to be a little bit different. The competition is going to rev up and the shots are going to become tougher and, and taking care of the basketball and, finding the open man and converting when you have an opportunity to do so.
Well, Will Riley is certainly playing well again. His outside shot making is pretty amazing. I've been so impressed by him, and I thought he was going to be a good player, but I did not think he would have this advanced offensive skills this quickly.
Me either. And, I mentioned that before on one of our podcasts. Typically, when you have a group of freshmen, especially those who reclassify, they take a while, for the game to adjust. It takes a while for them to adjust to the game, excuse me. But he seemed to have figured it out. He's long and he's aggressive, and they need his offense. I mean, I know he doesn't start, and I know that matters to a lot of people, but he's an important piece to this team. I mean, they're going to need him not just now, but for the rest of the season to be as effective as he is. So, because if other guys aren't scoring, and the same thing with Draymond Gibbs-Lawhorn, both of those guys are giving them offense. And what I like about that is next week, when they play Alabama, if the other guys are struggling, you're going to have 2 or 3 guys on the bench that you can go to, and you're not going to have much of a drop off.
Yeah, I thought Gibbs-Lawhorn played well. A few hustle plays there as well. Especially that offensive rebound. You don't expect the 6'1" guard to be the guy who's just kind of hunting boards. And when that board went off and there was nobody there, he just used his superior quickness to grab the ball and get a free basket. I thought that was very opportunistic from him.
Yes, exactly. And Mike, again, going back to your original question with Oakland, they have a tendency to do this to people. But again, what I really, really want to see them do as a team, I really want to see this group not only just take care of the basketball, but I want them to be able to put their foot down and blow teams out. I mean, that's what I want. But like Chad just mentioned to us, Oakland got physical and Illinois seemed to back away. That is an opportunity to, in my opinion, you go to the locker room and this is a teachable moment because, again, no disrespect to Oakland, but the competition is going to be a lot stiffer coming up.
Yeah, I think Illinois has to get used to that. They're a young team, at least from NCAA and Big Ten experience standpoint. And the first thing I would do as a coach is say, let's see how tough they are. And let's see, they can shoot. Let's see how they shoot when they're getting pushed and tugged and pulled. And I don't think that there's a lot of Big Ten coaches who are going to have any problems trying to do that. You can certainly see Izzo trying that up in Michigan State.
Yes. And another thing right now, I'm not nitpicking, but I am. Oakland is shooting 50% from the field, which is not, to me, I mean, you want to be able to guard. And I know Coach Underwood he's big. I'm looking at the stats. He's big on analytics. They're 4 for 17 from three and 24%. And it's hard because I know one time Trey White came out and he had an open three and he didn't shoot it. And in the back of their minds, they know the shots aren't falling, so they don't want to keep chucking them. But the coaches are telling them, chucking is a bad word, to shoot them. But the coaches are telling them, we want you to continue to shoot the basketball. Some of those have to go in. And one guy, we talk about like Colin Boswell, as beautiful as a shot as Casperas has, he hasn't been great shooting it either. So as another guy, I hope to get going here real soon.
Yeah, I would like to see a little bit more. Casperas is a very team-oriented guy. I thought he had at least 2 times that he did get an open guy, but he also passed up an open three. And I do think there are times to build your confidence and pop those puppies in just to show other people and yourself that you can do that. But it's hard to fault a guy for passing a ball inside where your center is wide open. So it's one of those things where you kind of go both ways on what you want the kid to do.
Exactly. And I've said this every game so far. I'm just a big Tommy fan. That guy, to me, I know all the hype is surrounding Will Riley and Casperas, but I'm gonna tell you, the big fella to me is just, I mean, it's almost automatic. I enjoy watching him play. He's smooth and he's unselfish and he finishes well, shoots free throws well. I mean, I just wish there was more hype around him. Maybe it's because Casperas came in with all that hype. I know I saw Steve Bartow's top freshman, which is fine. But at some point, you're gonna have to give Will Riley and the big fella Tommy some credit, because if I'm playing against Illinois right now, that's because Tommy and Will Riley are the two guys that top of my scouting report.
Yeah, they certainly have the ability to score, and Ivisic does such a good job from many places. Now, here we have Steven says that they're trying to pass too much, especially around the basket. I do think they need to get to the free throw line a little more often. I think some of that comes from, as you say, if you pass the ball out, you're not going to get that shot. And then the other thing is in college sports in particular, you got to lean in towards the basket when you're taking those shots on the inside. That's the difference. If you start falling away a little bit, you're just not going to get the contact to get the foul.
No, and it looks like they're trying to avoid the contact, but you're right. And I agree with Stephen. You want to get to the free throw line. You want to try to convert some of those, and even the guys that are not particularly shooting it really, really well. There's no harm in trying to get to the free throw line. To get your to gain some confidence. Excuse me. So I'm not panicking, but this is just one game, and it's a half, and there's a lot of basketball left. There's 20 minutes to go. But I want to see them come out, take care of the basketball, number one. That's the first thing I really want to see them do. And I would like to see a couple more shots go down. And lastly, I want to see Morez Johnson and Tommy Bisic play together. I think this is a time where you can experiment with something like that against bigger teams. And, looking at the stats here, I'm going to pull them up. I don't think Morez, he got what, 4 minutes to 4 minutes, and that's hardly enough to get going, and I know it could be because of the 1-3-1 zone or the matchup zone that Oakland's playing, but I'll still like to see him out there a little bit more too, hopefully in the second half.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. Just about to get my Coke Zero drink here to keep me going here during halftime. One thought is getting an opportunity to play against the zone. And I do think one of the things that Illinois has been extremely good about is shooting 3-pointers and really good point blank shots in the lane. And I think that's something that Underwood wants to continue. And it is the kind of the mathematical way to play college basketball. today. And even, in the NBA, you're seeing that look for the open three and then just layups in the lane.
Well, that's why he recruited this roster. He recruited this roster because you want a bunch of guys that can shoot the basketball, and layups should come easy for them. And they've had some opportunities, but one of our subscribers said, or people listening to this halftime show, they're kind of overpassing. There are opportunities where they could go in and make a layup. I know Trey White overpassed one time to Ibisic, and I think Draymond Gibbs Longhorn did the same thing. So there are opportunities where you can take advantage of it. You don't want to continue to leave points on the table because you're not going to get that many. Now, what they've done is they've given Oakland some confidence, and they're going to come out the second half, and they're going to know that they can play with Illinois.
Yeah, and I do think that physicalness, darn well that Coach is going to be harping on that. That was the quote key unquote of the half for them. And I think we're going to see a lot of physical play, particularly early, and see, just what are the refs going to call and try to get back into the game. And Illinois, this is a fantastic opportunity for Coach to help coach these kids through that. Because, again, we know what's going to happen in the Big Ten. The more athletic teams get slowed down by the teams that try to hold, grab, push, forearm smash, whatever, and they've got to get used to it. Oakland is an excellent team to get a little bit of prep work in.
Yeah, and teams are going to try to slow Illinois down, and I don't blame them. I really don't. I mean, if you have a high-powered offensive team that's averaging 100 points a game, and granted the competition hasn't been the greatest, but they're going to try to get into them, and you don't want to run with Illinois because if they get hot, when the day you see Colin Boswell get hot and the day you see Trey White, shoot the ball well and cut spares, whoever they're playing, it's going to be a rough night for them, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's probably the one thing. Illinois is shooting 23.5% from the three-point line, 4 for 17. Now that is also helped by the fact that on the other end of the court, they've held Oakland to 1 for 8. But it would behoove the Illini to figure out how they are going to get some open threes and knock down some of those for their confidence. And Ked, we haven't seen any booty ball. Do you think that's something that Coach is working on in practice and waiting to reveal at a later time, or you got any type of hints on that?
Well, I know they talked about it. That, Mike, is a great question. They've talked about it, and they talked about doing it with Big Ben, but we haven't seen it, and maybe that's something that they're going to be saving for some of their quote-unquote bigger opponents. I've seen some of it, to tell you the truth, but I just don't know when they're going to bring that weapon back out. And it's going to be tough because nobody's going to match, what happened last year, with the way they did it last year. So, I mean, it's another weapon to have. And if you double, Ben, he's able to kick it out. And Ben is a much better shooter than Marcus Thomas was.
Yes, and just to give kind of a recap, Ivisic is looking at 10 points, Will Riley with 7, Rickhouse with 5, and also Trey White, and then you've got Dre Gibbs Lahorn with 4, and then Morez has 2 and Kylan Boswell has 3. So it's been a balanced scoring. I think the team has done a pretty good job on that. But I do think in this second half, they need to be prepared for some physical play early. And I think they need to attack the basket and see if they can force maybe Oakland into some foul trouble or leverage the superior athletes and start getting some open shots, particularly if they are attacking the basket. Any thoughts on what you would be telling, your team if you were in the half right now and you were Coach Underwood?
After what I just saw, number one, and I'm going to tell Casperas, you have to take care of the basketball. You can't get sloppy. We knew he had a tendency to do that before he came in. He has to take care of it because those are turnovers. That's the first thing I'm going to say. Then you have to turn and face and expect pressure. Put the ball on the floor and attack the basket. Get to the free throw line. You get them in foul trouble. Then what also happens with that, you shoot free throws. Then you force them to go to their bench. You have to dictate tempo. When you're the better team, you have to dictate it. And that's exactly what I would tell my team. I don't have a problem with them shooting threes because once you start telling the team it's a good 3-point shooting team, all that's not a good shot, you shouldn't have shot that, then it becomes a mental thing. Don't even address that part of it. If you're open, shoot the basketball. But definitely force your will on the opponent. And like I said, the last 10 minutes of the half, I thought it was the other way around.
Yeah, I agree totally. And this is one of those games. Like I said, Coach Underwood wants to win every game, but he wants Oakland to make it tough on him, and they've done that. And I think now he wants to see his team create some separation and get some lift and make this an easy one. Any other final thoughts, Ked, before we let people go back to the game?
No matter what happens, if you get the win, you get the win. But I know you don't want to win ugly and then be worried about what could potentially happen next week.
Yeah, and next week's going to be a challenge. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's Alabama, and it's not at home. It's just in Birmingham, so it's an away game for the Illini. And we will be back with our post-game show that'll start about 15 minutes after the game is over. Allow us to kind of get our notes and get prepared. So we look forward to seeing everybody then. Until then, let's enjoy this second half.